Hi, I'm Mike Shapland and thanks for joining me in the Disaster Lessons Factory. We can't guarantee that rivers like that one behind me will stay like that in future years. So it's really important to draw on the lessons from past floods, like those that New South Wales experienced in 2022. Hopefully you'll have seen by now that my aim in this channel is to get lessons and ideas from other people's experience to you, the disaster manager, at a time when you want or need them. In August 2022, the New South Wales government released the report they'd commissioned into the preparation for, causes of, response to and recovery from the 2022 flood event that had been catastrophic for that state. The report was sharply critical of both the New South Wales SES and Resilience New South Wales and made recommendations. But I'm not going to go into the recommendations here. I want to shed light on the stories behind them that make up the lessons from that report. There's a whole bunch of valuable things here. I've pulled out 25 points that are worth emphasising, but right now, here are my top 10. First, include an Indigenous perspective in the work you do. Use their sense of self-preparedness. Listen to their knowledge. Tap into Indigenous ability to support themselves and help resource it. Consider Aboriginal community liaison officers, part of your committees, and at your evacuation centres. And in particular, talk to them about evacuation, if it's a chance, and the trauma this may cause them. Second, sensing technologies are important before, during and after a flood. What are available? Do they get you information as you want them to? A lot of work has been done in Queensland to integrate sensors and gauges, but in general, according to the New South Wales flood report, there are still challenges in drawing the data to provide local forecasts and then communicate them reliably during an event. So the message is clear. Work towards integration of various agency gauge and information systems in your local area. Tap into those agencies like fire services who may have locally controlled sensors like drones. Work on the best way of communicating this information to your community. And there's a recommendation in that. Third, remember there's a response phase and think about what you want it to achieve. There's been a lot of talk recently about the importance of resilience and recovery, and rightly so. But in this report, there's a focus on response, an indication of the importance of getting this phase right also. There's a neat definition of a successful emergency response. One where no lives are lost, clear information and warnings are provided to empower community action to minimize risk, and emergency services and community work together to minimize both risk and the effects of the disaster. We don't often see it defined so clearly. There'll be different views, but it's a good starting point. What do you want response to achieve? Fourth, while I'm talking about response, nighttime response is expected. The report revealed a community expectation that rescue services will operate in hours of darkness. Check the position for yours and reassess this important area and the balance between safety and service delivery, because it's likely that the community will expect it. Fifth, what about livestock flood mounds? Animals are always a focus in disasters. Cows and horses are a particular challenge. The New South Wales report draws attention to livestock flood mounds and their construction. Local governments should provide consistent advice about planning permission aspects, it says. Sixth, anticipate your communication systems failing and those that the community will rely on, and have a plan. What if your internet, your tasking system, your communication systems fails? This point partly goes to the importance of social media and community involvement in response. Are you ready to pitch in with whatever may be a community member-led effort? The community are always the first responders. Those managing emergencies should plan to support them and remember their debriefing and their mental health. And there's a recommendation about community first responders that gives strength to any work you do here. Where are you up to now? Seventh, relying on knowledge of the last flood is common, but it's a dangerous approach. And planning for the worst is better. People plan for what they know, not what the risk and scale might be. The report has a whole section on understanding flood risk and acting on the threat. There's a recommendation about flood education too. Eighth, even if there's a levee, evacuation beforehand is a safe survival strategy. Infrastructure fails. Levees are designed to protect property, not lives. Ninth, Think about and plan for the need for fit-for-purpose, resilient homes for those displaced by future floods. But watch that emergency housing doesn't become de facto new estates. The report is set in the context of the national housing shortage, COVID, and increasing interest rates in a tight rental market. Housing problems after events, though, are unlikely to go away. It's a much broader problem than my quick summary line. And 10th, in recovery, people were asked to provide the same information multiple times. Again, this lesson has been repeated so many times during disasters. Authorization to share information between agencies is part of the solution, and governments are beginning to use tell us once services in other areas. And this is one area that, if you have a place in planning recovery, you should give particular attention to. Well, that's my top 10 lessons from the New South Wales Flood Report. If you want to see more, go to my website, thedisasterlessonsfactory.au. If you want to know even more, of course, read the report, or please come and talk to me. And thanks for joining, and if you want to see the next update, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to make sure you don't miss anything. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.